Buhari has granted audience to the president of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that engagement, which lasted about 40 minutes behind closed doors, was the first since the allegations of wrongdoings were leveled against Dr. Adesina. The AFDB president has been at the center of allegations of impropriety at the financial institution, which have been a subject of inquiry by its Committee on Ethics. After responding to the allegations point by point made anonymously against him, the committee cleared him of any wrongdoings, but the United States Department of Treasury dismissed the verdict, calling for an independent investigation. The African Development Bank is a multilateral institution owned by African countries, but the U.S. is a major investor. Nigerian and other African leaders have been rallying support for Adesina, who is completing his 5-year tenure but is entitled to another term. Details of Dr. Adesina's engagement with President Buhari will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletins. Let's now join our correspondent, Mitari Ikpen, to give us the highlights of today's briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. It's now over to you, Mitari.
Okay, thank you very much. The Presidential Task Force briefing today was dominated by guidelines and regulations for the reopening of places of worship, such as churches and mosques. The Presidential Task Force emphasized, among other guidelines and regulations, that worshippers must sanitize their hands before gaining entrance into places of worship, and they must also ensure physical distancing while in the congregation and places of worship. Also, these measures and regulations are expected to be enforced by the religious leaders and also by the state governments. The Presidential Task Force says churches in particular can open from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. on days of major worship services, while mosques are to open 20 minutes before Friday prayers and close 20 minutes immediately after Friday prayers. And the worshippers are also discouraged to converge. Worshippers are advised not to converge or gather together or muster together during worship on those days. And again, the Presidential Task Force, don't forget, also said that about 60% of cases of coronavirus have been identified to be in 20 local government areas in the country. Those local governments have been identified as high burden areas, and that is why I want to invite the DG of the NCDC, Dr. Chike Ihekwazu, at this point in time to tell us, DG NCDC, please kindly tell us you have identified 60% of cases in 20 local government areas. How do you intend to manage the pandemic in these areas?
So thank you very much. You know, as the President announced some of the easing of restrictions across different sectors, what it means for us in public health is we're going to increase our response across the country. So as the measures are eased so that people can at least get about their lives and livelihoods, we have to increase our efforts. And it is part of that increase that first we have to identify those areas that demand the most of our response and time. And that's why we have further analyze our data from a state level data to really local government to really say, listen, this is where we need to focus our efforts on. But it doesn't mean that we'll stop responding in the rest of the country. We'll continue to support every state in Nigeria because we want the states with few cases to remain that way, especially when they're testing a lot but not finding any, to stay that way. But we're now going to focus a lot of our efforts on 20 key local governments and make sure they have both the support they need but also the atmosphere in which to do their work and we can do our work in order to limit transmission of this new virus.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's it from here. It's back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Mitari, for the highlights. Now, a new petrol pump price of 121 naira to 123 naira takes effect nationwide from the month of June 2020, as announced by the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA. Joshua Ojito is standing by for an update on the level of compliance with the new price in Abuja.
Recently, federal government announced a new petrol pump price of 121 naira 50 kobo to 123 naira 50 kobo per litre, as against 125 naira. The new pump price is for the month of June. What is the level of compliance in the nation's capital, Abuja? And our investigation shows that most of the police stations are yet to comply with the new pump price.
We have received the new price. In fact, we have the paper. However, we have an old stock. This is agreed often by FIDAN, Petroleum Dealers Association, that we should not sell until we exhaust our stock, we change our prices. This is an old stock that we bought, and definitely it will take us maybe in the next maximum maybe 48 hours. We finish everything and we start selling in the new price.
However, the situation is different in one of the NNPC retail outlets in the nation's capital, Abuja, as the new pump price of petrol takes effect. Back to studio.
It's now time to join Adiola in our Lagos Network Center for more nationwide. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Ifoma. The Nigerian Navy has inaugurated a 40-bed, fully equipped COVID-19 isolation center for its personnel in Lagos. Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Oladele Daji, disclosed that the initiative is to support the federal government in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Imole Ayotokede reports.
With the increase in emerging cases of COVID-19 in the country and Lagos State being the epicenter of the virus, more isolation centers must be established to reduce further spread of the virus. The Nigerian Navy says it has identified this need, which informed the decision to erect an isolation center for its personnel at the Naval Dockyard in Victoria Island.
COVID-19 Isolation Center to the glory of God and for the benefit of all our people.
In each of the 10 rooms in the structure are 4 bed spaces, which are divided into 2 sections. One section will accommodate asymptomatic cases, while the other will cater to symptomatic patients. The center also houses pulse oximeters, monitors, oxygen machines, and ventilators.
This is Nigerian Navy's proactive measure to make sure that we contribute our own quota towards the management of COVID-19 patients, especially among naval personnel.
This highly restricted ceremonial sunset marks the end of the week-long activities to celebrate the Nigerian Navy's 64th anniversary.
The Navy is willing, able and ready to continue to protect our nation.
The ceremony was held at the NNS Kora base in Apapa. In Lagos, Imole Ayotokede, NTA News.
Ahead of the proposed reopening of the Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos, airline operators will be given a checklist of conditions that must be met before flight operations can resume. Michael Olaleye reports on this, plus the repatriation of British and Indian citizens from Nigeria.
Deserted aerodrome. No aircrafts to taxi the runway. In spite of this atmosphere at the Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos, there is still an opportunity for these 233 Indians and 304 British nationals who had been held back by the COVID-19 lockdown to feel the joy of reuniting with their loved ones. Grimham is an engineer stranded in Nigeria And not in his widest imagination would he have thought that a journey of 2 weeks could turn to months.
But other than that, yeah, I've been here since February. They should have had one more. I think there's still a few people to come, eh?
With the proposed reopening of the nation's airports visible, there has been concern about travelers' apathy towards air transportation. Peter Eni, who is a businessman, shares a contrary view as he believes air transportation has become indispensable.
There are farms you need car. Our own kind of farm is by plane. I regard UK as a place where I do my own farming.
Meanwhile, one of the regulators in the industry is working with airline operators to coordinate a safety restart plan.
They will need to notify us of their readiness to start operation, and they will not just go and pick a plane and be flying. We already give them a checklist of what we have to see. The materials, the equipment, the safety guard, the medical facility, everything that they have acquired in readiness to operate without having to allow any infection or spread of infection.
Regulators are also considering reducing passengers' capacity on an aircraft as one of the ways of ensuring that safety is not compromised. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Nationwide will continue with Ifoma in Abuja after this break. Stay with us.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
Executive Order 10, 2020. How sustainable for representative democracy in the face of financial autonomy for state legislature and state judiciary. Plus, 5 years of President Buhari's administration. How far, so far. These are the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live, incisive and educative. Join us at 10:30 p.m.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19, a corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 22 55 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
We have observed the lockdown. We have practiced the measures in order to curb the spread of the virus, but we can do better. The coronavirus spread is increasing daily, and only together can we cut down the numbers and defeat the spread of the virus. Remember, COVID-19 is not a death sentence, and a recovered patient cannot spread the disease. Do not stigmatize. Do not hesitate to report any case, or if you have come in contact with anybody that has been infected with COVID-19. If you have cough and fever, please stay at home and call your state hotline. Find state numbers at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng. Remember, it is for your own good and for the good of every Nigerian. Let us do better and defeat the virus. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network. Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
You're welcome back. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has issued a 7-day ultimatum to owners of mechanic workshops, automobile dealers and other occupants who illegally carry out various trades along the Apo Road corridor known as the Outer Southern Expressway to vacate the areas. Chairman of the newly constituted FCT Ministerial Task Force on City Sanitation, Ikaro Atta, says this is in line with the FCT Minister's resolve for an aggressive city sanitation. Abdullahi Ajia reports.
Shortly after its constitution for effective implementation of the task force mandate, among which is to immediately restore the area's master plan, a meeting of all stakeholders was convened by the Abuja Environmental Protection Board for sensitization. The chairman of the task team, Ikaro Atta, told business owners affected to use the grace of the 7-day ultimatum, which gives consideration for the avoidance of causing colossal damage to their property, to vacate.
The whole essence of this meeting is to collaborate with you so that there will be no destructions to your property. One thing that stands out in what you all have said is your desire to see Abuja grow.
The team disclosed that the first phase of the sanitation exercise, built to commence on Monday 8th June, will reclaim all spots from Apo Roundabout to the popular Apo Nepa Junction, while the second phase of the sanitation will begin from the Nepa Junction to the popular Apo Mechanic Village.
Please, that more time will be given because of my own particular business.
What we are appealing is time to give us, to add more time to us.
The task team said the exercise will also allow for the seamless completion of all ongoing projects along the axis as they are top on the FCT Minister's agenda. Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
We now bring you excerpts of an interview which I had earlier with the FCT Ministerial Task Force on City Sanitation, the chairman, Ikaro Atta, who spoke more on the 7 days ultimatum to the Apo mechanic traders.
What he asked us to do is to clear all sundry nuisance on the road corridors. And this is wider than even the Apo Mechanic Village that people are telling me to be. We are going to remove the Ram Market, popular Ram Market facing Gudu Cemetery. That one, when you go, you see them, a very large Ram Market. Cattle Market will be removed. We would be removing as well the motor park around the Apo Roundabout. The Apo Roundabout, that motor park will have to leave. They have to relocate. We are going to be removing the Panteka Market, very big Panteka Market on that stretch. All the auto dealers will all be living there. Some gas dealers will as well be living. Some who says glasses will as well be living. So it's a long stretch of work we plan to actually implement from Wednesday, but sadly, nicely, the traders pleaded with us to give them some time to pack. And being a government that listened, we told them, okay, we'll go back to the minister to appeal, but we stretched that to Monday next week, so that it will be 7 days for them to pack and actually leave properly.
Okay, but they said the time, the 7 days, is not enough time to allow them move. Are you considering their plea?
No, for now, I am not considering the plea. We are not considering their plea because given 7 days where there is no block to move, there is no structure constructed to move, the man who owns a ram can easily move the ram and the cattle. The mechanics can easily remove the vehicles they have there. The motor park can easily exit that particular point. The block molder can easily remove his block from that area. The auto dealers can easily remove their cars. And the beauty of all of this is that they all have genuine alternatives to go for. The Panteka, which is even the largest worrisome body there, those who sell scraps and second-hand items, can move to the Goza dump site, a very beautiful area now because of the the quarantine center at Idu. We have opened that road for them. They can easily move there and do business.
Is that a place provided by government for them to move?
It is the best place for them because other persons in the dump site are gathering scraps and they're selling that under recycling. So for us, it's the best place for them. We don't have a place for Panteka, but that's the best place that we haven't discussed with them. They can go. The motor park can go to Jabi Motor Park or Yaya Motor Park because they are loading the northeast. The block molders have to leave the road shoulder. We can't have a road shoulder. Nice 10-lane road. You have block molders on that side. That will not work. The gas plant dealer was clear that he can't put a gas by the roadside. Should a vehicle veer off and slam at the gas tank, we won't be talking what we are saying here now.
Now, is there a place provided by governments for others, like those in Apo, at the Apo Mechanic Village?
We have Apo Mechanic Village inside. The ones that have come into the road must give way. A 10-lane road is coming. That particular Southern Expressway is feeding the mass housing district. At a certain point, if you go to that Apo Mechanic Village, look very well, you will see heavy mass housing district. So you cannot come and conscript them because you are selling tire, or we have a place already given to them, allocated to them. But some of them decide to come by the roadside to actually see if they can get quick customers. Now, the road is coming. The road cannot wait for you. You must go back to where we have given you so that the road can pass through. Okay, and some of them have also been given part of Wasa district.
We are aware that these exercises and phases, can you tell us more about?
No, I think the first one that he gave us to clear very quickly is from the area 1 and about, when you are coming, stretching it through the Gudu Cemetery and getting it to the old Apo Mechanic Village, the Oladipodia Junction. We are going to clear that one. He gave us some time, but I'm sure that we don't even need that time. If we hit that place in 2 days, that area will be clear because we are going there with intensive. That of security have given us assurance of an intensive manpower. The DRTS, in case those who are putting their cars to sell on the roadside don't move, we have about 15 tow trucks that are already on the ground here. The AAPB have assured us of not less than 80 personnel that will do the work to actually take the ramps and other things off. I think for me, if we hit here in 2 days, we are good to run.
All right, Mr. Tada, that will be all. Thank you so very much.
Wonderful
for coming
time being
on
here.
Nationwide today.
Wonderful time being here.
Now, the State's Community Policing Advisory Committee for the Federal Capital Territory has been inaugurated. FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello advised members to be fair and transparent in the discharge of their responsibilities. Shuaibu Noze Yakubu reports that the committee was constituted by the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, to enhance community policing in the territory. Now, I've just been told that report will be brought to you in the course of the bulletin. Let's now join our Ibadan Network Center for reports trended from there, and Larry is our guide. Hello, Larry.
Thank you very much, Ifoma, and welcome to Ibadan. The new Commissioner of Police, State Command, Joe Nwachuku Nwanwu, has solicited support of officers and members of the public for effective protection of lives and property with the provision of useful information in policing the state. The appeal was made during the handing over ceremony at the police headquarters, Elele, Ibadan. Correspondent Rafia Animashal Badmus has details.
Receiving the handover notes, Nwachukwu Nwogu assured police officers of open door policy, but indiscipline would not be tolerated by anybody in the force. He, however, implored people of providing useful information that can help policemen. He was the former Commissioner of Police in charge of Special Protection Units, Force Headquarters, Abuja, before his redeployment to Oyo State Police Command.
From the records of the outgoing Commissioner of Police, he had been able to tame the crime level to a very tolerable one. We will do our best to bring it even lower than the level he has left it.
Addressing police officers, the former Oyo State Commissioner of Police, Shina Olukolu, urged them to extend hands of fellowship and good working relationship with the newly deployed Commissioner of Police to wipe off crime and criminality in Oyo State.
I cherish the flow of information and I want to enjoin them to extend same to the Commissioner of Police, the new Commissioner of Police that is taking charge.
Shina Olukolu is now CP Anti-Fraud FCID at Lagbon, Lagos State. In Ibadan, Rofia Animasha Badmos, NTA News.
The fundamental quality of public health is its preventive nature, as everyone must be aware of health hazards through educational programs and campaigns. The Chief Medical Director, Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta, Professor Adewale Musa, described the media as an important ally in any public health situation. Lekon Agbode reports.
Automated Hospital Management System is a computerized medical information system that collects, stores, and displays patients' information. It deals with drug equipment, human resources, and other relevant information. This is what the Federal Medical Center Abeokuta is starting soon.
The whole idea is that we have planned to computerize our services for some time now, and this we are at the tail end of it. What is remaining now is the training of staff.
The materials are on ground. The entire hospital has been networked.
Meanwhile, the hospital management and heads of different categories of stakeholders have been meeting to cross-fertilize ideas for better service delivery.
With this kind of innovation, we can do our researches in an effortless way, a nice way. You have all the data in one big system.
The effects that this will have on the patients is they would have a more refreshing experience at the hospital. The processes would run faster and smoother.
When fully operational, the Federal Medical Center will be a model and good reference point for others to emulate. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
That wraps up our contribution from Ibadan. Rest of Nationwide continues with Ifoma in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Larry. And now back to our earlier story where we told you that the State Community Policing Advisory Committee for the Federal Capital Territory has been inaugurated by the FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello. Shuaibu Nozo Yakubu tells us more.
Community policing is a problem-solving approach to policing that requires communities to actively participate and partner with the police to identify and resolve crimes and other forms of social disorder that are peculiar to them and their communities. Inaugurating the 17-member committee, FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello urged them not to be partisan in the discharge of their assignment, which is geared at protecting lives and property of the citizenry.
Call upon members of this committee to take this assignment very seriously because our security depends on you, and we expect that you will give it the utmost attention that it deserves.
Representative of the Inspector General of Police and other stakeholders say the concept of community policing is globally recognized and accepted because of its contribution to the reduction of crime in communities.
The issue of community policing came up to reintroduce, to re-energize everyone. However, I congratulate the Inspector General of Police for reviving community policing and ensuring that the policing is taken directly to the grassroots.
Chairman of the newly inaugurated FCT State Community Policing Advisory Committee, Commissioner of Police FCT Bala Chiroma, promised to deliver on the mandate given to them.
On behalf of members of the committee, I wish to inform the Honorable Minister, the Inspector General of Police, and the dignitaries here seated that we have accepted this responsibility. We promise to deliver on our mandate.
Members of the committee comprises heads of various security organizations as well as political, religious, traditional and community leaders. Shuaibu Onoze NTA News.
The anti-corruption crusade of Buhari administration has been applauded by guests on Good Morning Nigeria. The guests who made the commendation emphasized the need for government to entrench transparency and accountability in all tiers of government. Ekemini Williams reports.
If we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. This is the timeless quote of President Buhari that has largely defined his administration's commitments to fight corruption in the last 5 years. This has resulted in the introduction of policies and reforms aimed at strengthening the anti-graft agencies to discharge their duties effectively. In a robust discussion of the anti-corruption crusade of the Buhari administration, guests had divergent views on areas that need strengthening.
There are many regulatory agencies which are often not recognized as being very important, who are oversight functions that are not effective. Federal Character Commission, for example. Why is it still possible for appointments to be so blatantly, corruptly influenced, yet approval is got for it from the Federal Character Commission? Why is it possible, for example, in a university, a faculty of law or whatever has an admission capacity for 100, that class ends in 250, and JAMB is there, National University Commission is there. I think that's the area we need begin to move away gradually from ICPC, EFCC, and begin to look at a lot of institutions in Nigeria have regulatory function. And I think it's the failure of those agencies that leads to almost sometimes the cynical perspective that nothing is happening.
The delay in high-profile cases in court. I think the challenge we would like to put to our enforcement agencies is to collaborate with the National Judicial Council. There is a committee, monitoring committee in the National Judicial Council. We need to entrench accountability. Accountability at all levels, including at the state and local government level. People are elected into offices, they do what they want, and they get away with it. There is no accountability. Who is to enforce accountability?
You cannot fight corruption by enforcement. It never succeeds. So you have to take preventive measures. The people who would have died from the hospital that wasn't built 10 years ago, or the students who've been radicalized into terrorism, kidnapping, because the school was not built, how do you reverse that?
Both enforcement and prevention must be combined together.
They identified nepotism and dysfunctional institutions as other areas that require serious attention. There were calls for improved management of recovered loot. The guests were united in calling for improvements in the strategic communication framework, as well as enhancement of both preventive and enforcement measures in combating corrupt practices. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
The Department of State Services, DSS, has tendered before the Bayelsa State Governorship Election Tribunal sitting in Abuja a report of its investigation into the certificate forgery leveled against the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State. Olabode Arewa reports on Monday's proceedings at the tribunal.
In his testimony, the first witness for the petitioner, Ibrahim Abdulsalam, said the DSS investigated the Bayelsa Deputy Governor, Lawrence Erujapo, and discovered that the name on his NYC exemption certificate had been altered. The witness tendered the report from the NYC, which however indicated that the alteration was at the request of the Deputy Governor.
We are very happy with this development.
The matter is still in the court, so it's for the tribunal to decide on that.
The tribunal also dismissed an application by the Liberation Movement Party seeking to be joined in the suits. The tribunal held that the party's processes were filed out of time. The Liberation Movement governorship candidate at the November 16, 2019 Bayelsa election, Vija Okwama, is praying the tribunal to cancel the election and to order for a fresh election without the PDP. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
And Felicia Daliop Samaila is in Jos with reports from there. Over to you, Felicia.
Thank you, Ifeoma. Welcome to Jos. Operation Safe Haven Commander Major General Chukwuemeka Okonkwo has launched Operation Accord within its joint operation areas to block infiltration of fleeing bandits and militia groups. Flagging off the operation in Sanga local government area of Kaduna State, Major General Okonkwo says the exercise is in line with the directive from the Defense Headquarters. Kim Godds reports.
The Special Task Force, Operation Safe Haven, in charge of maintaining peace and security in Plateau and parts of Kaduna and Bauchi states, launched the Operation Accord in Ancha community of Sanga local government area, Kaduna State, aimed at addressing the spate of insecurity within its general area of operations. Addressing the troops, OPSH Commander Major General Chukwuemeka Okonkwo maintained that Operation Accord is an ongoing defense headquarters operation designed to neutralize and stamp out banditry and other forms of insecurity in the northwest and north central geographical zones of the country. Major General Okonkwo said that the special operation, which identifies bandits and criminal hideouts, will facilitate the return of peace and arrest emerging security threats within its area of operations. The commander, while calling on members of the public to avail useful and timely information to the military to enable it achieve the objective of the operation, assured of the troops' professionalism in discharging their duties. Operation Accord, which is conducted concurrently with other special operations across the country, will last for 30 days. In Jos, Kim Godds, NTA News.
To further complement government's efforts at boosting food production, some farmers in Wase Federal Constituency of Plateau State have received some tractors and farm inputs to enable them participate actively in this year's farming season. This is part of the empowerment project of the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Ahmed Idris Maji, to encourage farmers against the backdrop of COVID-19. Again, Kim Godds reports.
To address the challenges faced by farmers as the country grapples with the coronavirus pandemic, farmers in Wase have a cause to smile as 4 tractors have been distributed to the 4 districts of Wase to further enhance agricultural activities in the constituency. In addition, 152 motorcycles, 200 each of grinding and sewing machines have equally been distributed to youths and women to encourage them in meaningful and productive ventures.
With the acquisition and presentation of these tractors to 4 districts, I can assure Plateau State, I can assure Nigeria without any fear of contradiction that Wase very soon will become the food basket of Nigeria.
We gave this tractor, we advised them to utilize it so that we can produce more grains within this local government. Not only this local government to benefit, but Plateau and Nigeria at large.
If you look at the tractors, with this current policy of diversification to agri and mining, I'm sure the tractors will be a very welcome idea.
The usual crowd during such events by the Deputy Speaker was avoided to ensure social distancing and other critical measures against COVID-19. From Wase local government area, Kim Godds, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide. Let's rejoin Ifoma in Abuja for more reports.
Many thanks, Felicia. The Nigerian Army commences construction of 4 Special Forces Command Barracks in Doma of Nasarawa State, with commitments to increase capacity of fighting insecurity in north-central Nigeria. Achigili Magaji reports.
The North Central Zone has been faced with challenges of insecurity in recent time. The command headquarters is to coordinate the operations of all the special operations of the Army in the region as demanded by the emerging complex nature of insecurity. The Chief of Army Staff, represented by the Army Chief of Policy and Plans, Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, says the establishment of the Special Forces has become necessary given the emerging dimensions of security threats which demand special attention.
With their commendable performance in the field, and having set up a training school for the Special Forces, it was only natural for the Army to establish a formation to administer, guide, and deploy Special Forces assets wherever the need may arise.
The choice of Nasarawa State and indeed Doma for this great feat is key due to its centrality for quick response to the nooks and crannies of this country.
The Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule and his Plateau State counterpart expressed appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari and the Chief of Army Staff for the conscious efforts at tackling insecurity.
I urge you all to sustain the tempo for the
benefit of our people.
The traditional rulers expressed delight over the development. Established in March this year, the 4 Special Forces Command coordinates 301 Amphibious Brigade, 401 Special Forces Brigade, and the 402 Special Forces Brigade in Doma, Achigilimagaji, NTA News.
Ensuring effective, efficient and timely delivery of healthcare services to troops in the northeast and the citizenry necessitated the construction of a 200-bed capacity Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. The groundbreaking ceremony for the hospital was performed by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai. Memona Garba reports.
The prevailing insurgency in the northeast region necessitated the construction of the 200-bed capacity hospital towards meeting the medical needs of troops on the front line and the host community. Some residents of the surrounding community where the hospital will be constructed described the initiative as commendable. The hospital project of the Chief of Army Staff is intended to be world-class standards, which will provide various aspects of medical care. It will help reduce referral cases as wounded personnel will have quick, accessible and efficient healthcare service.
This is in addition to the stress patients go through during movement to access this level of medical care.
Borno State government has assured to support the Nigerian Army in actualizing the project.
This project is not only a moral booster to the officers and men of the armed forces, but also it is a development that will strengthen the military-civil relations in the state and sub-region.
The military hospital Maiduguri, when completed, will be among the major hospitals of the Nigerian Army in the country. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
The Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Julie Oka-Donley, says the statement of Lebanese ambassador on the media over deportation of 56 Nigerians does not represent the true situation of happenings and raises concern on the release of deported 10 Nigerians still in criminal facilities in Lebanon. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the Director General of NAPTIP was speaking during a media briefing in Abuja.
65 Nigerians were earlier boarded for deportation by Lebanese government, but only 56 made it home after years of violent abuses on their rights under the guise of domestic servitude. The agency says follow-up arrangements are on course to secure the release of the other 10 victims who were deported and others who are held hostage.
The ambassador gave the impression that none of the returnees was a victim of human trafficking, but that they were in Lebanon with their full consent and legitimate contracts.
The Director General appreciates the cooperation of Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Ministry in exploring diplomatic tools in regaining freedom of the victims. The Director General discloses some high-profile cases of serious sexual abuse, hard labor and massive exploitation of Nigerians by Lebanese and pledged to sustain effort for their release.
It's only those we know of we're talking about now. So they may take it a step further by investigating all the houses there to know those that are still held in slavery, because I heard so many of them are still there.
She explained that a bilateral labor agreement has been drafted for countries to Palermo Protocol signatories and waiting ministerial endorsement. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Time for another break. Please stay with us.
The number of the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
This is a very important message. Operation Wear Your Mask, especially for people who don't old. No forget, your body no tranga like before. It not even tranga like your children or your grandchildren. So therefore, always wear your mask for this pandemic period. No they to receive visitors, so even if not your grandchildren. Make extra mask where you go fit wash, make like 2 and that's your number 1. And if they come out for house, wear your mask always. And if you come back, wash your hand with soap and running water to avoid coronavirus. Make you for live long for your children and your grandchildren. No forget, Operation Wear Your Mask, especially for people who don't old. Protect me, I protect you. Na coalition of societies for the right of older persons in Nigeria, COSROPIN, join body with National Orientation Agency, NOA, bring on this message.
Now believe this corrupting. You know, if you touch black man, if you like, gather the whole Niger, come together, make a cough. Nothing.
Which one you want?
Give me V&D.
I beg, get small pieces.
How much you want to give him?
Give me 200. Take your change now. You don't want your changes.
My people, this coronavirus, na serious matter. May una wash una hands regularly. Come use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. If you no see water, wash your hand. Make una sit down for house. You see this virus, so it no get leg. Now we dey waka kurukere. No waka around, make the virus for die. No forget, say the betterment of our people. Now for your handy day.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Now, Bauchi State set to resuscitate sports sector. Ayodeji Makinde has details.
Worried by the falling standards of sporting activities in Bauchi State, Governor Bala Mohammed says his administration is ready to roll out a robust plan that will restore the state's lost glory. Correspondent Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed reports that Governor Bala Mohammed is confident that if the state rejigs its sports sector, it would create more jobs for the youth.
We will definitely do more. Encourage our Ministry of Education to do more of secondary and primary sporting activities, so that we can hunt for talents the way talents were hunted before.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Football Federation has been commended for inserting the need to invite more home